Rob?
Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and the Batman universe, and today we're taking a look at the Earth 2 DC Comics New 52 Batman Bruce Wayne action figure. This was a Batman figure that I was really excited about when they announced that they were going to do some of the Earth 2 characters in the New 52. And this was one I was really hoping was going to make the first set of Earth 2 characters, but the Thomas Wayne Batman figure came out, and then Alan Scott and Jay Garrick figures, and then Superman and Wonder Woman, and then this Batman eventually made the next few waves here. But I think I don't have the Wonder Woman or the Superman figure. I've seen reviews and seen the production pictures, and I think the Batman really is the crown jewel of this particular wave. But we can kind of compare him to some of the back of the box art here in just a second. But taking a look at the box art, we could see here at the top of it, we'll get it into frame here, that we see the Earth 2 logo here and the Batman 75 Years of Batman logo here as well. Also the DC Collectibles logo. And you can see on here that it does say Batman Bruce Wayne. Now I don't believe the other Earth 2 Batman, the Thomas Wayne figure, I'm not sure if it said Thomas Wayne. I don't have that figure, and I think that's one I'm probably going to end up passing on. I'm not really reading much of the Earth 2 right now, but this particular design of Batman I thought was just fantastic. The side panel art, I think this is really, really cool. The silhouettes, I like that they are still continuing to do these, and I think this is just a nice, cool image of Batman there. The back of the box reads as follows. He defends the world against injustice. He is Bruce Wayne, the original Dark Knight. Based on the design seen in the monthly Earth 2 comic book, it is the latest action figure from DC Collectibles, Batman. And the other figures in this particular wave, there are 4 here, would be Batman, Earth 2 Hawkwoman there, Earth 2 Superman, and Earth 2 Wonder Woman. Now, I thought about maybe picking up this Wonder Woman. She does look really pretty cool. I'm not really sold on this particular Superman figure, and Hawkwoman is okay. Again, I'm not reading the series. I'm not saying she's a bad figure. She actually looks like she's sculpted very well, but I'm not really reading much of the Earth 2. And the reason I would want to pick up this Wonder Woman, this is kind of the version of Wonder Woman we'll be kind of getting in Batman vs. Superman. It's not exactly the same. It's not based off of Earth 2, but this is more in her first appearance outfit that the Earth 2 went with. This particular Batman here, on the final side part of the art, is based on artwork created by Nicholas Scott and sculpted by Steve Kewis, if I'm saying that name right. Now, the original designs were done by Jim Lee. So after this little portion here, I'm going to put up some pictures of the Earth 2 Batman from Earth 2 #1, and then a Huntress Power Girl comic where you can kind of see this Batman in comic book form. And I'll also put up the Batman Arkham Origins character model. Something else I'd like to do here is bring up the Justice League Batman. Now this is an extra Batman that I have, so he looks like he's kind of leaning out of the package. I bought the 7-pack Justice League set, and this is actually my original single-carded Batman. I just threw him back in the box as I have, 2 different Batmen. But something I thought would have been kind of cool to do is, since this was an Earth 2, would have been to flip the mirror of the peel back on the opposite side. I get what they're doing for DC Collectibles, but I thought that would have been a neat look. But you can kind of see just a little bit of subtle changes. We had the normal Justice League here in the back, and we don't have anything here, but just a little bit of from one of the very first line of New 52 figures up to the most recent, and we'll do comparisons of these two Batmans side by side. So what we're going to do right now is we'll take a look at some images from the New 52 of this particular Batman, and when we come back we will have this Batman out of package. I cannot wait to get this guy out. We'll be back in just a second. Here's a design sketch by Jim Lee, as he was the one that created the look for the Earth 2 Batman. I love his pencil work there. And here's the front cover to Earth 2, issue number 1, featuring actually the death of the Trinity in this particular story. And here's some interior image of Batman. I love that shot of Batman there. And then the first story arc of Batman Superman is the first meeting of Earth 1 and Earth 2, but they don't realize it, and a final sketch by Tony Daniel. So cool story arc. Check it out. All right, all I can say is right out of package, wow, I really, really like this figure. I might like him a little bit more than the standard New 52 Batman. I think this is just a really cool design, and I half wonder what people would have thought of this Batman if this was the main design for the New 52 Batman. You know, some people didn't necessarily like the pouches here. I'm glad that we've got a figure for this. I do like the New 52 design of Batman. It still looks very reminiscent of the Batman we all know and love, but I do like this interpretation of Batman. And if this Batman were to come back in the comics, I might actually start reading an Earth 2 Batman comic featuring the look of this Batman. So I'm not much for like an Elseworlds or another world than the normal DCU, but this action figure alone and just the design of it makes me want to see and read more about this particular version of Bruce Wayne. He does have some interesting articulation in the fact it's more going back into the past of articulation that DC Collectibles has done before. Let me remove move the light source here a little bit. So he does sport a little less of the articulation than what some of the New 52 figures have received right now. Like I said, he's more a callback to his predecessor Batman figure. And I'm okay with that. Some of the clear joints and pegs and things like that we've been having some problems with the New 52 figures, I'm glad they kind of went back to some basic articulation. Yes, there are spots I wish would have had a little bit more articulation, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But I do like that they kind of went back to old school articulation on this particular Batman. He will fit very well with the rest of my Batmen. The design for this figure is really, really cool. I like the more updated version of this Batman, and in this particular Earth 2 generally in the old continuity is where the Golden Age heroes had lived. The basic Batman from Earth 2 didn't change that much, but the Superman of that Earth was older. Alan Scott was the Green Lantern of that time, and Jay Garrick was the Flash, so that's where your Golden Age heroes live. Now in the New 52, that's where the names of those heroes live, but the world is a little bit more harsh and a little more brutal, which is why this Batman looks the way he does. Their particular Earth has seen a lot more battles and wars rage on since the arrival of Darkseid, and that's where this Batman really comes into play. And just the sculpting on this guy, the almost, I want to call them parachute pants, but like skydiver or flight suit, that's the word I'm looking for, type in pants, and just the where you would have the traditional gauntlet like bat scallops coming off are now these almost Knight of the Round Table gauntlets, which are really cool. He's got a lot of spiky parts to his costume, and this looks more like battle armor than really a suit, and again, that is to show off of the world that this particular Batman lives in. The sculpting is just done absolutely fantastic. I was kind of raving about Starfire in the last action figure review, how beautifully she was sculpted, and again, not because she was a female, but just the sculpting in general. And the sculpting on this guy is absolutely phenomenal. Probably arguably now one of my favorite sculpted figures from the New 52 line. My only little nitpick with the figure, I believe that the lipstick or the lip color that they gave him maybe just a tad bit too much. Not horrible, not enough that it's bothering me enough that I'm like, oh, I really want to like this figure, but as far as just the painting and the black wash on the belt, utility belt is really cool. Now, in moving the legs, you can kind of see the belt here. Looks like when he's straight that these two parts probably should have been painted in just a little bit more. And I think with a little extra paint there, I could cover that up. You could clearly see that it was supposed to be painted in that little tiny spot, like they stopped. I really hadn't noticed on anybody else's review. So it doesn't quite match up there. But again, that's an easy fix. And that's really the only minor spot I can tell of something, again, other than in the back too. It suffers from the same thing. The back you're not going to tell because the cape is going to be down. I'm not going to have him posed with his, cape up in the air. But the sculpting and the detail goes all the way around. And again, it's just a very, very well done figure. He does have Eskrima sticks. There aren't very many comics with this version of Bruce Wayne Batman in them. The very first issue of Earth 2 has basically the death of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And obviously, excuse me as I can't talk, including this Batman. So we don't see him in action very much other than that one single comic. The Earth 1 Batman and Superman meet Earth 2 Batman and Superman Batman comic, and one of the earlier runs, as you just saw in there, and then in A World's Finest, kind of a flashback sequence. So he doesn't get a lot of screen time, but so it's really not shown if he has batarangs or other types of gadgets, but he does have the Eskrima sticks, which is kind of cool. It's a nod to Nightwing, which I think some people, when they initially saw Jim Lee's drawing, that they thought this might have been Dick Grayson Batman for Earth 2. He has these side pouches on the utility belt, and the Eskrima sticks do fit in there. Not horrible to get them in or out. They both fit in rather well. Now, practicality-wise, I think if you were going to be, if I can get him, pardon me there, arm's still a little stiff out of package. If you're going to be running alongside a street, I think these would be kind of hitting you. They're not really hindering too much. You can still have them in there if you would like. But it'd be kind of cool if they would have sat down just a little bit farther. If these pouches would have a little bit longer here, maybe shorter here, so they kind of rested down here a little bit more. But still, really cool design, and I like that they just changed this Batman up in the New 52, just being an Earth 2 figure. Now that I'm moving him and turning him all around, let's back the camera out, and we'll look at the articulation of Earth 2 Bruce Wayne Batman. Head is on a nice ball joint, so he can look in a lot of different directions. This is an interesting look for a New 52 figure, that he can actually look up, like if something's coming at him from the sky. So he can look up very, very well. Probably out of all the New 52 figures that I have, this is the most articulated head. He can look down at a good downward motion, and he can tilt left to right. So a very, very articulated head. Very good plus there for this Batman. Arms do go all the way around on a ball and socket joint. Has a bicep swivel, single bend at the elbow, and has a gauntlet rotation as I move the whole arm there. So there's the gauntlet rotation, nothing in the hand as it's affixed to the gauntlet. No waist turn or ab crunch, and I am perfectly fine with that. The waist turn, I think that they could have done, but maybe it was just the way that the belt was sculpted. They didn't put that in there, or maybe because the Eskrima sticks, the sides of the rib cage may have come in contact with that. But again, I'm fine with that. No T-jointed hips, which is kind of surprising out of this Batman. Again, that could be due to the fact of if somebody's posing with the Eskrima sticks, although I could argue that and say, well, just put them in the hands. But again, I'm fine with that. With some of the problems we have had, maybe this is their way of rectifying it and going, you know what, we're going to forget the T-jointed hips. Or maybe it's just a crapshoot depending on who the figure is, if they decide to do that with. There is an upper thigh cut right above the belt line for the Eskrima sticks, and a bend at the knee. And what I like about the bend at the knee, that at least the bend part of the knee is hidden by the bat design of the boot. I mean, you still see the bend at the knee, but the knee cut is hidden by that. There is an ankle pivot, but mine is really stiff, so much so that I don't know if I have a lot of room here in the back. If I move my stupid hands here. Let me zoom the camera in just a little bit so you can kind of see this in better light. Maybe. There we go. I don't have a whole lot of room right in here to bend this back. It looks like I could, but I think the way this is cut here is preventing me to move it back. So this foot is kind of rocked up a little bit, as I have him completely off camera. It's kind of rocked up a little bit, but he stands very well. So as I say that, my table always leans just a little bit. So there he stands pretty good. So what I'd like to do is bring up the Earth 1 or Earth Prime New 52 Batman, and we'll look at the two side by side. Alright, here are the New 52 Batmans, the Earth 2 and the Earth Prime Batman. And definitely from two different worlds. We have a more brutal Batman that lives in a harsher environment, and we have a more technology savvy Batman that relies on gadgets and sheer strength as well as the other Batman does, but uses more of his detective skills as opposed to being a brooding Batman. I like them both a lot. This is what would be a hard choice if somebody said pick your favorite Batman out of the bunch. That would be really hard to do. I will bring up another Batman here for a quick comparison. Here is the Heroes versus Villains 7-pack of the metallic version of Batman. This is my favorite Batman that I've had up to this date. It's basically the same figure that we just saw. It's in the metallic paint scheme. I think it really brings out the suit details a little bit more. And he looks really good standing next to this Batman. So design-wise, I really want to say this, but this guy has been a design favorite of mine in the New 52, so I'm really leaning towards really liking this Batman. And here is the Huntress from Earth 2. Now, like I said in the Huntress video, that Huntress was Robin of Earth 2, so this was Earth 2's Batman and Robin. So on my shelf right now, I'm going to be putting this Earth 2 Batman next to the Earth 2 Huntress. And even though she was on Earth Prime for a while. So it'd be kind of cool to have father and daughter stand side by side. Alright, here are all of the Waynes together. We have Damian Wayne, Bruce Wayne, New 52, Earth Prime, and then we have Bruce Wayne, Helena Wayne of New 52, Earth 2. This has been a really cool Batman. I highly recommend picking up this Earth 2 Batman. He's going to look great in any Batman collection. And also like the Thomas Wayne Batman, it's a little bit different, or actually a lot bit different Batman than what we currently have. Yes, the Thomas Wayne has some burgundy and reds in his outfit that Batman has never really traditionally ever had before. But this is a more of a darker time for the Earth 2, and this Batman was a very brutal Batman as the world that they were living in. And I think just a really cool design overall, and right now has pushed Starfire out of the running for my top favorite figure this year. I think Batman has done exceptionally well. Yes, he is less in the articulation department, where the Huntress has the T-jointed hips. This Batman does not. But this particular Batman, I think, looks just great the way he is, and I like that they gave him some more simplistic articulation. The cape I didn't get into is nice and long as well, and I like how the Bat logo is embedded into the armor and kind of makes up the way things are strapped here over the shoulders, makes up the rest of the design of the Bat. So I think this is a really cool Batman overall, and one that I think if you're a Batman fan, this needs to be a definite pickup for your collection. So today we've been taking a look at DC Collectibles Earth 2 New 52 Batman Bruce Wayne action figure. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and the Batman Universe signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.